Noel Nation, welcome in on a beautiful Tuesday night. I'm here in the panhandle of Florida. I think CJ's up there in what they call the Big Bend. We got Deshawn way up there on the other side of Georgia. We got Jen up in Memphis. Everybody's able to come together for the Renegade Rundown with you guys. As I said, my lovely co-host Jen Santee is here. Deshawn from the Daily Chop. And we got a special guest tonight, my man CJ Wilson from at Dope Talk. He was a part of Big Three Roll Up back in the day. You can catch him doing spaces if you're lucky every once in a while. But high school recruiting is kind of what's on the tip of everybody's tongue with the portal finally wrapping up. I'm struggling to really dive into it, but there's 4 or 5 big names, a couple still in this class, the 2025 class, FSU circling back on, and then some big visits. Pretty much everybody and their brother is going to be here, whether it's one of those big names we talked about this past weekend or the junior day this week on the 18th, starting this Friday, or the 25th the next week. Plus, my panel just informed me that the news kind of broke about the spring game. We've been kind of all been wondering, are they going to do something in Jacksonville, or are they going to even have one? We got a little bit of news on that, so we'll discuss that. But first of all, how's it going, CJ? Thanks for joining us.
It's going pretty good, man. Appreciate you guys for having me first and foremost. I'm definitely a big fan of the work. Definitely glad to be here, hanging out a little bit.
How's Jen doing? Have y'all finally thawed out up there in Memphis? I know it was like sleet and snow every day for like a week for you.
Yeah, so the snow still hasn't totally melted, but yes, kids are back at school. Thank God. That will drive you absolutely up the wall. You can't go. It was like too cold for them really to even play in it, because you get out there, put on the jackets, the mitts, the hats, the this, the that, and then you'd be out there for maybe 15, 20 minutes and it's like you're frozen solid. So yeah, we're good, thankfully.
Sean, everybody safe and happy over there at your house, or what?
Yeah. We didn't get any of the snow that Atlanta got. It kind of ducked us as usual. We ended up getting a little sleet and ice, just slightly, and it was cold. But it's been a little cold for down here. But we good. Everybody's fine.
Yeah, it was just par for the course. The one good cold snap we get every year, maybe 2 for us. Ice on the ground, never any snow or anything. If it wasn't for the horses getting out, my ass getting run over at like 12 in the morning the other night, I would have been just fine with it, but no broken bones. We survived it unscathed. No water pipes bust or nothing like that. But yeah, one of the big names we'll start off the top of the show with. One of the 2 kind of 4-star, 5-star recruits from the 25 class they're circling back on. It's still a long shot. You're battling out one of the 2 Big 10 squads. The other guy we'll talk about in a little bit is the other half of that. But Zahir Mathis, you got him on campus. Been trending that way. You got pot roast and all this momentum, early planning time. I'm sure Kevin Wynn can speak to him about them being a freshman phenom. Going to go along with Tylon Lee and the Desir twins and everybody else. I don't know. I'm not going to put a percentage on it. I'm not in the know enough on these guys, but I do know kind of the track record, albeit short, that this staff has when they've really poured resources or kind of went back to the well on guys. They've done some pretty amazing things, flipping 7 guys. I mean, you missed on a couple guys in the portal, but you landed 3 or 4 guys that people might have thought you couldn't even have got in the position you were in. So, CJ, we'll start there. Have you heard anything? How are you feeling about Zahir Mathis and the shot to kind of pull an upset against Ohio State and some of the other higher bidders there?
Yeah, so his weekend went pretty damn well from what I was hearing. Was real informative, was really in tune with the meetings and things like that. I do think the staff made a pretty big impression on him. I think Norvell made a pretty big impression as well, even though he was sick for, I want to say, Sunday and a little bit through Saturday of the official visits. Most of the assistants handled everything. But yeah, from everything that I'm hearing, it's going pretty well. I do think it's more so a Michigan and FSU battle, of course, down the stretch. And it kind of goes the same way with Ty Haywood, even though I think that's more Michigan and FSU for sure, since he has the Michigan official visit in his back pocket when you already burnt the official visit to FSU over the summer. But yeah, I think FSU is in a very good spot for Ty. I'm not sorry, not Ty, for Zaire. What's the first name?
Zahir Mathis, I think it is.
Okay. Yeah, Mathis. So I think FSU is in a good spot. We'll see how things play out after the Michigan visit. I'll probably put UCLA in 3rd place at this time, but FSU did a damn good job. And he's from Philadelphia. If you guys remember, he's from the same high school as
Nick Moody.
and Pop as well too, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, Upshur. Yeah,
Yep.
Upshur went to Emotep.
Yeah, so it's a pretty, not Philly isn't too big on football itself, but that school particularly produces some pretty good athletes out of Philadelphia.
Man, just that whole, even from the DMV and that whole area up there, we were on a pretty good run of good players from across the Wet to EJ Manuel's from up in Virginia, I believe, as well. There's a lot of guys that they got. Be nice to open that pipeline back up.
Odell was pretty much getting whatever he wanted out of Virginia at one point in time. Did a damn good job up there.
Deshawn, any thoughts? I know we've went back and forth on this. It's kind of like believe it when I see it. It's just kind of tough, and I didn't even realize that Michigan had took the lead. I just knew that he had been crystal balled to Ohio State, so it shows how much I know. But Michigan, they've got like a big purse behind them. It's gonna be tough to get any of these guys, right?
Yeah, sorry for interrupting, but it's more so Ohio State really is in the picture. He got crystal balls there, I guess, because those are the only crystal balls that was put in for him because he committed to Ohio State at first.
That's what I figured. Yeah.
So he decommitted from Ohio State, and it's pretty much there hasn't been any updated crystal balls placed in for yet. Those are just old ones. So I think it'd be more so a Michigan and FSU battle with UCLA trying to position themselves as well too.
Yeah, I concur. I agree on the Mathis recruitment. I think we're right there. It could right now between us and Michigan, I would put it like a 60-40 type thing. Michigan with the edge right now. As far as Ty Haywood, I'm not too high. I think that's Michigan with a nice hefty lead. It's just proof of concept right now with the line. Of course, relationships are going to play a part there, but
and also they big spenders as well too, man. Real big spenders.
Yeah, their NIL situation. I mean, not too many programs are going to match what they're going to be willing to do coming off the
Bryce
season.
Underwood, Andrew Babalola, another 5-star offensive
another 5-star. Yeah,
pretty much they're trying to protect their asset in Bryce.
Yeah. So with Zahir, I like our chances. I'm not saying it's any more, like I said, 60-40, but as far as Haywood, I'm not necessarily buying that one. You know, we have a shot, but it's a long shot.
Yeah, I don't even want to don't get me wrong. I'm not thinking it's a dead giveaway for Florida State to get Mathis, but I don't know. I feel like there's a real chance you could shock the world on that one. It's hard for me to do on Haywood just because, what everybody said. What are you hearing, Jen? Do you got any hope on one of those two shining blue chips out there for us?
I mean, obviously, I think the hope is more with the Mathis kid than Haywood for me. So for me, I don't believe Haywood at all. But I mean, hey, that would actually shock me way more than anything else if you pulled that one off. But yeah, I think the Mathis kid is the one you have the best shot with.
Yeah.
We're all in agreement there. Let's switch the page to somebody I think we all think we're probably going to get. We've been talking like he was a silent on the show forever just because anytime something happens good for FSU, he pops up and tweets about it with a bunch of tomahawks and stuff. He was committed to UCF. He pushed it to February. He's not scheduling other visits. He's not flirting with people. It's just one of those things that's out there. And I think finally the services, 2 or 3 people dropped crystal balls the past week. And that's 6'7", 260-pound offensive tackle. A rarity under the previous staff. We got Lucas Simmons. But to add that on to Mario Nash, I can't remember never remember the other kid's name from South Florida, but to add him, I think would be pretty damn good. We'll start with you, CJ, on what that could mean, if you think he's a lock like I do.
Yeah, I think he'll end up being a Seminole just based off of those relationships, like you stated. And you're talking about Sean Perret.
That's it.
Yeah, from Georgia. Yeah. So Hurricane is doing a hell of a job just putting together not just a transfer portal class from the offensive line standpoint, but a pretty solid high school class from the offensive line standpoint as well, too. So, like I said, this kid here, Brown, was committed to UCF and Hurricane and Gus Malzahn prior, decommitted right after the news broke, being put in, little tweets out there and things like that. I think he's a lock. More so just going through the formalities, has to take his official visit to FSU, which will be coming up within, I think, this weekend or the next weekend. I think which one. So once we get that in the boat, I think it will happen. It should be pretty good. And also, you got to remember as well, too, the center, who I think is important get as well too, for FSU in regards to lending that commitment. So I think it'll end up being the nose whenever he do make his final decision and kind of go from there. And Chavis Thompson, and this was a kid that was committed to Oregon for damn near like a year, if I'm not mistaken. Ended up decommitting and then committed to FIU with Willie Simmons. 6'1", not ideal height, but 300 plus pounds physical. He's a mauler.
Yes. 6'1", but you're 310. Like, okay, maybe that can work. We'll see. They got a plan for him. I was going to ask you because I was wondering if it was more of we got 105 roster spots, measurables be damned, this guy's a player, or if it's one of these things. There's every once in a while the measurables get thrown out the window, whether it's a defensive tackle or an offensive, spinner or whatever the case may be.
So Herb is, and as you guys can see with the offensive line we've been bringing, he's a measurable type of guy, right? You can see just day and night from what was getting on Atkins, day and night. But I do think once you have film and shit like that, those measurements kind of go out the window, so to speak. With a kid like this, you got to realize too, Herb did offer him when he was at UCF too. So that prior relationship was there. So I think it's an ability thing. I do think he's severely underrated, and you can bring in a guy like this to be your center. You got a couple offensive tackles that you can mold, but not expecting these kids to play next year, the year after. So you want to get them in with Herb Penn to get developed. You want to get them in with Coach Thorne to get developed physically. And around 2 to 3 years from now, we could go from there and say, okay, this is a pretty good recruiting class. These guys ready to play.
What do you think about Chavez, Deshawn?
Sandman, we talked about him a little bit on the chop last night. Did get a chance to watch his huddle highlights. Exactly, I agree with CJ. He's fucking violent, man. Offensively, his hands, he kind of utilizes his hands similar to how Wynn on defense, and he's also a defensive tackle. Also, I know they're recruiting him as an offensive line prospect at 6'1". With him playing center, I don't think that's a big of an issue. Playing center at 6'1", that's not a problem. We've seen centers play that short before and be very effective.
I think the Miami Dolphins starting center is around that height, if I'm not mistaken.
Going back to Nebraska, wasn't it Riola? He was 6'1". But what I saw on film, it stands out is he's aggressive and he finishes his blocks. And that's the first thing I look for in a lineman when I'm looking at offensive line film, their attitude and how they finish blocks. And that's the one thing that popped off the tape is he's very, very aggressive. Saying that is an understatement. He finishes his blocks to the whistle.
He's a nasty kid.
Yeah, he has a nasty attitude. And I like that.
Well earned.
Yeah, definitely, because he will put your ass to sleep. I saw some pancakes on that film that he puts you to sleep, and I like him for what they want to do, the style of running game that Gus going to run, downhill running. He fits it perfectly.
And also, we got to do, and I think we're doing a good job of this on the offense and defensive side of the ball, as we brought in some shockers on National Signing Day out in Payson your way. We ended up flipping, some blue chip defensive linemen, one from Ole Miss and one from LSU, and you're trying to stack it up with Zaire too. And you got the two twins, the Dexter twins down in Miami that was committed. So what you're trying to do is stack bodies up, right? Get your body type up, stack your room up from the offensive line and defensive line standpoint. Something we haven't done in a long time, probably under Jimbo with Odell is when we used to stack the defensive line up. We saw that played out. Our trenches was damn good for a long time. Offensive line, I can't remember the last time we were stacking bodies up, which is crazy to say, right? But even going on the Coach Trick, we really didn't stack those type of bodies up. So, and George, you brought a good point. That scholarship number kind of goes up, so you can stack your room with these bodies. But that's something I want to see moving forward for FSU is stack the bodies up, develop these players, let the chips fall where they may. You have things like that, and not really have a situation to where you have an injury bug and then you're kind of behind the 8 ball as far as talent with a dip off. Or let's be completely honest, you have a Patrick Payton situation going back from 2023 to 2024, where you're kind of threatening in the portal, your foot in, half out. If FSU's depth was where it was supposed to be, where it should have been,
let him walk.
You let Pat walk, and that's perfectly fine. Do your thing. You don't really have to be held hostage for more money because you don't have anything behind Pat to kind of compensate. So you want to stack the room up, stack the bodies up, and develop these guys. And once that time comes for them to play, you don't have any issues.
We've talked about it here. It was night and day, like the 23 class versus the 24 portal class. Like in 23 and even 22 and before that, they identified guys. They got them on campus. within 24 hours they commit. That next year, the class we all look back on is such a disappointment. It wasn't that way. Guys would just come and go, and they get to the second and third guy, and it was just really rough. It's really nice to see them change. And you brought up like the kind of scale of the offensive line and defensive line they bring in. If they can grab Chavez and also, damn, I don't forgot his name. The UCF, the former UCF commit, Chase down. If they can get both of those guys to come in along with Zahir Mathis to go, you're talking about like 30 guys along the offensive line and defensive line almost, if you count some of those edge linebackers between high school and transfer portal, and just straight starters of the whole defensive front, starters across the whole offensive line, except for maybe one, or obviously one. You're going to have to pick from one of those guys. They're really going to flip it. I don't think they're allowing the rot that kind of from last year to come along. The people that come in are really going to have to be all in, because, I mean, there's 3 or 4 guys standing there to, take your spot. And as far as guys that can compete now, I wouldn't put Tylon Lee up there to be something great that we haven't had since we've been there. But I do think outside of Kevin Wynn, he has the best shot to kind of, make an impact as a freshman. But Kevin Wynn, I mean, it's not really a flip. I consider it one. The fact that they were able to keep him, the best line commit you've had in damn near a decade, like you could really.
Kevin Wynn is a huge kid, and I'm very high on Kevin Wynn. I think Kevin Wynn has the potential to probably be
one of the best.
Yeah, he probably be number 2 nose off rip behind D-Jack, in my opinion. Yeah. He has that type of ability, and probably, like you said, after D-Jack leaves, take over full time as a true sophomore, just kind of dominate from there. Yeah. And George, I'm really high on Lee as well from a physical standpoint. He has a body that you want from a freshman. You can kind of develop. Pretty much, you look for certain body types, right, that you can develop and move forward and mold. And Lee has that type of body type. I'm not a freshman can play type of guy as well too, but I wouldn't be surprised if he figures out something. But Kevin Wynn, I definitely feel like he could play. And don't sleep on Tylen Coleman as well.
Yes.
Junior college transfer. That's going to be a kid that's going to come in home. Yeah, very aggressive. He's going to try to vie for some playing time.
Yeah. I would add also the Desir twins. I think it's Daryl. They're physically, now where they may be lacking technique-wise, physically, they're ready to play. Both of them are ready to play physically. I think Daryl's a little ahead of Mandrell. I believe that's the one. It's one of them is a little bit better. Yeah, but they are physically ready to play that edge role, either the strong side or if you're talking about a jack stand-up position, because that's what you're seeing here. They're basically recruiting bodies to the system.
So just from the high school ranks alone, we're talking about 4. This is something we haven't seen in a long time. Talking about 4 defensive ends with the possibility of having 5 in Mathis. So I like to see it.
Yeah, man. If we get Mathis, that would be, man, just the cherry on top. Again, we won't get too hyped up on Haywood, but before we get into the spring game and kind of just at large, just FSU football, I want to make sure to give a shout out to Dope Talk right here on YouTube. Make sure you go over there and like and subscribe. Make sure you like and subscribe here. I'm terrible at doing this. I always forget. So hit the like and subscribe. It's totally free. You guys, you're all returning viewers. It's going to pop up in your feed the same way. You'll just be subscribed and it'll help me out. Do the same for CJ. Is there anything you got coming out or anything you want to plug right here while we have a check?
Like I said, make sure you guys tap it with Dope Talk. It pretty much covers all things FSU. I actually recorded today and we'll be dropping pretty soon, but my personal, I guess you could say, December transfer portal grades position by position. So I'm going to be dropping an offensive unit and a defensive video within the coming days. And also, I guess I'll put this out here, we'll see, had a conversation with former FSU defensive lineman. I'm sorry, 1 second. Yeah, sorry. Probably got a former NOLE interview that could be coming up pretty soon. The guy that was on the 2013 national championship team. Had a conversation with Timmy Jernigan, so trying to line it up pretty soon. I have an interview with Timmy. So once that comes out, hopefully we can lock in a date pretty soon. But that's going to be a pretty interesting one. I want to hear what he has to say. So we'll see how that plays out. So hopefully we have that coming pretty soon. But like I said, it pretty much just covers all things FSU, whether it's recruiting, transfer portal, visits, commitments, coaching changes, stuff within the team itself, former player interviews, whatever you want to call it. Had Antonio Cromartie on, Corfonzo Thorpe, Greg Carr, Kenny Shaw. I mean, you name it. Just a bunch of guys that you guys want to hear from, right? Just hear their recruiting stories, their stories at FSU playing days and things like that. So trying to line it up with Timmy Jernigan, and we'll see how it plays out. We'll tap in with Dope Talk if you guys haven't subscribed yet.
Man, that's a bucket list one right there. I know Jen's dying to get him on. He's for a big guy that was so dominant. I mean, he's got the personality, the whole. I'd say he started the little crazy man phase in the NFL, but there may have been somebody in front of him. But yeah, as an old fan, there's no more fun than going back and watching the tape of him just hip tossing dudes en route to a national championship.
Yeah,
I forget that Miami offensive line that he just put on 1,000 posters. Oh man, God.
And wasn't he sick in the national championship game?
Yeah, so a lot of those guys are actually sick in the national championship game.
I thought so. And he had like a fever and was like sweating like terribly. You could tell he was sick.
Yeah. I don't know if it was the food out there in California or whatever, but a lot of those guys, it's crazy when you hear backstories about situations and things like that. But a lot of those guys were sick going into that game for sure.
I was sick at halftime. I know that. Dan Wolken was when it was all over. But
Damn.
Poor Dan Wolken. He'll never live that down. Never. It is great. Every year, it's like clockwork. Somebody reposts it, and I love every minute of it. You know, he used to be the Memphis beat writer. He was
really?
The beat writer. Yes. He had like a radio show here and everything. Oh, God. Even the Memphis fans hated his guts.
He never deleted that tweet. Like, he still leaves it up for people to shit on him.
He'll do that. I mean,
every year.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, for sure.
It's still great. But yeah, he was the Memphis beat writer. So was Gary Parrish. Yeah.
You know, I love my Memphis Tigers, Jen. So small world.
Oh, I love that. Yay.
I learn stuff every day. Like, it's crazy how many roads lead through Memphis. Just about everybody we bring up has some kind of tie to there. I gotta get out.
Like, why was I so high on Mike Norvell and things like that? Well, I follow Memphis football because my dad played there, and Mike just turned it to new program heights. So, funny story. If you guys remember 2019, we played Miami in that Florida State Miami game where we got killed and Willie got fired that Sunday, right? So we pretty much knew what was going to happen after that Miami game. And that weekend, Memphis had college game day. Memphis played SMU for college game day. And it was the first time game day ever came to Memphis. It was that same weekend. So
I was there. I was there.
So I'm watching the game that night, and Memphis just puts on the show. Mike puts on the show like, yeah, this is the guy I want to be the next head coach at Florida State. This was before it was actually announced by Willie. There was a couple FSU fans. You guys know Nico from Twitter and things like that. He was on the time. He was there as well. He remembered me saying this as far as, yeah, that Mike Norvell is my guy. And it kind of grew from there with Memphis beating Cincinnati in the final game of the regular season.
That's what did it for me. The back-to-back wins like that was the message. And then that team made the playoffs.
A damn good Cincinnati team. Who was the head coach at that time? Luke Fickell. Luke was the head coach at Cincinnati at the time, and to beat a pretty good Cincinnati team. If you guys remember, after Mike left, Cincinnati ended up going to the playoffs and was dominating that conference for a little bit until Luke Fickell left. If Mike doesn't leave, I have no question in my mind that Memphis would have been the playoff team probably 1 or 2 times after that, based off the projection, because they were dominating that conference and it was really just starting.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, in that Cincinnati game, Memphis got a terrible call against them. I mean, it was terrible. It was terrible. Cincinnati got the momentum, and then they were able to shut it down. And I got to be honest, I might have shed a tear. I'm not kidding. I was sitting there just thinking about it, that they are actually, Memphis was going to go to a New Year's Six Bowl. And, you know, at the time, that was just huge. That was huge. Never happened. So, yeah, it was great. Amazing moment.
Yeah, for
damn
sure.
Alex Atkins for ruining it all. We could have been disappointed already, but we hit the reset button and got it restarted. People been coming with the jokes in the chat. Somebody said that TJ looks like he just kicked Alex Atkins out of the Moore Center again. Somebody said Tiger Wood.
He took his gear
we got to apologize. You know, with Jen and Tiny's roast, we get a lot of jokes.
Yeah,
but I'm with it. That's hilarious.
Marcus
start
Freeman
with,
was a member of that defensive staff of that Cincinnati team too in
He was the
19.
defensive
Yeah,
coordinator.
he was the
Freeman
defensive
was the
coordinator,
defensive coordinator.
linebacker coach. Yeah.
Yep, 100%. I remember. Yep.
Jen, you got any
Small world.
questions for CJ or any thoughts on recruiting or anything before we talk about the spring game stuff?
No, I don't think so. I guess I just wanted to ask about the quarterback because that one was a
His
little
brother on that
bit.
Saturday Halloween costume. Sorry,
Yeah.
Hey, this was really special though. I think he did have the visor hat as well. Only thing I need is
A
some Dasani
whistle.
water
You need
bottle.
a
Yeah.
whistle.
Yeah,
Dasani
do
water
something.
bottle, now be good.
Do something.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something with that.
Hey, Willie's doing something now, buddy. Whether you want to buy into how much a part of that success is, he's out there doing it, and he's got one of the best running backs in the league, best quarterback in the league. That's your team, ain't it? I know you're pulling for the Ravens to make a run.
Yeah, Willie's living his best life up there in Baltimore right now. But yeah, I'm definitely pulling for him to win this weekend. It's gonna be a big damn game versus Buffalo. So we'll see how it plays out.
Oh yeah, all the narratives going into that one. I think it's y'all's year. I have calm memories. I don't think maybe it was 2000. Y'all played the Giants or something
2000. Yep.
2000.
in the national championship. I'll never remember. Was it Jacoby Jones? Maybe it was before his time, but it was both teams.
Jacoby Jones was the 2012 Super Bowl.
Okay,
San
yeah.
Francisco. Yeah.
This was
That's
on
when,
PCL, the one in
That's when we
2000.
had that miracle in Mile High where that's when Joe Flacco just threw a crazy 60-yard bomb in the air to Jacoby and pretty much right in the breadbasket to beat the Denver Broncos and Peyton Manning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just remember that one in 2000 with back-to-back kick return touchdowns. It was like, what are the odds of this shit happening in the Super Bowl? But Deshawn, you got anything? Whatever recruiting that we haven't got to, maybe some of these young kids. I know Jen is curious about Smeagol. We were kind of down on him staying in the class, but all of a sudden that came around. But shit, looks like he might be in there.
I'm unsure.
We'll see how it plays out. With that Smeagol stuff, you still got to wait until the papers actually sign.
That's what
You got to wait, right? But it was a good job for Mike and Gus to kind of go out there and have that conversation. I think he's going to be taking a visit to FSU pretty soon. But I'm telling you, this kid here.
He's so good. He's so good.
My God. He's the best quarterback they recruited by far. You guys know I was pretty high on Luke. I thought Luke could be a pretty damn good quarterback just from his high school film and things like that. But Smeagol, he's different. This kid is elite. When I say elite, the throws he make it's ridiculous. That kid has it. He has the it factor. I think he'll start his sophomore year at the very latest. I think that kid is that damn good. Like Smeagol is one you got to absolutely hold on to. But we'll see how it plays out down the stretch.
Yeah, that's my bad, Deshaun. I kind of buried your lead in with the question, but yeah, what do you got?
No, only thing I would touch on and ask questions about is something that I was wondering if the program, if they would go out in the portal in the spring and look for another zero tech to back up Jackson along with Wynn. I know they have bodies like Denaz White and Jamari Flag, but maybe they want to get one more experienced zero. Other than that, as far as the recruiting goes, with Smeagol, for those who may be concerned about not necessarily him sticking, but because of the fit, Jarrett Stidham, I mentioned that name. Gus has a track record of having a quarterback that's not a dual threat, a true dual threat. The offense can function. It just operates a lot better when you have a unique talent at quarterback that can run. But he can get it done without a running quarterback.
And I want to kind of address something in regards to people saying, schemes and fit and all that type of deal. Yes, Gus has a specific type of scheme he wants to run, but all good coaches adjust to the skill set of their players. Whatever their strong is at, that's what you want to tailor to. That's what you're going back to Memphis. Norvell probably had like 3 quarterbacks at Memphis, and all 3 quarterbacks were different type of quarterbacks and different type of skill sets. So if you're a coach is only as good as his players, so you want to try to adjust and tailor to those strengths and I guess stay away from the weaknesses as well. You want to know that too. So as far as a coach to say, I want to run a quarterback, you have to run it this way, that way. No, you adjust to you adjust your scheme and what in your coaching style to the strengths of your players and what you have on the team. So I say that to say this, I do think Gus Malzahn and this, that, and third, he doesn't have to have a 4-3 type of running quarterback, to operate his offense. Like you stated, you can have a pro style quarterback operate offense too and not have any issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a big conversation about why Luke left. Was it because of the scheme and they can't do it? No, it's just it wasn't what he was like signed up at the beginning with. Like they decided they wanted to make a change because they were bringing in Castellanos and he wasn't going to get the money he thought he was going to get possibly as a starter. All the things, whatever you want to believe. But coming out of high school and somebody like him and their family who apparently have just an absolute ton of respect for Malzahn and Hand, like they were fired up when they heard about it. It came as a surprise to us when Clay told us that last week.
Yeah.
Like, I had just kind of written it off as it's going to be really tough and started looking at some of these other quarterbacks and how it would turn out. But at this point, no, it really looks like he believes he can be that guy that transcends it. That, yeah, when I get there, the offense is going to look a little different, but I'm willing to run to keep them honest, and I'm willing to, be a willing participant in it. That's all.
I do think you're going to see like the big schools come in with last minute deals for this kid. Like that's how good he is. And so this is going to be a kid is going to be hard to hold on to no matter who your offensive coordinator is, because he's that good. Like he is that good. Night before signing day, however it is, there will be a program that is going to throw an ungodly amount of money, and I'm sure that they're ready for this. I'm just saying that's just how good he is. So it didn't matter who you hired, he was always going to be probably someone who everybody was going to go after. But yeah, I was really excited to hear that from Clay. So that was good. That was really good.
You love it. I don't know how long you got, man. We're already over 30 minutes. You're welcome to stay the whole time, but the spring game was an announcement we talked about. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but if you wanted to address that. What did you think when you first heard the spring game was canceled? I was, like I said, it's went back and forth, but to hear that they're pretty much just not going to do it. I don't know if they'll plan to have some kind of open practice or fan day or something at all, or if it'll just be no spring game. But that kind of popped up, I guess, before we went live.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I don't have an issue. I know some of the fans probably have an issue with it. Just want to see some FSU football, probably come out and hang out at tailgates. We was going to throw a big tailgate for the spring game as well and hang out pretty good. Yeah, KP, the spring game is canceled for this year due to construction. It's going to be pretty much really bad at that point in time, just trying to get finishing touches for the Alabama game. But me, I'm perfectly fine with it because from a football standpoint, 15 goddamn practices, that's all I need. Let's lock in for these 15 practices. Let's play some football. Let's get ready for this 2025 season. Fuck all the theatrics. Fuck all the damn festivities, all that shit. We're in 2-10. Let's lock in. Let's focus and let's play some football and kind of go from there. But I do know a lot of these coaches really don't want what they have working on or worked on, so to speak, to play based off these 15 practices and all the additions we had within the transfer portal. So I'm cool with that. As long as we do we're supposed to be in spring practice, which, and just what I'm hearing, Norvell is on he's on the warpath in that Morrison. Like it's a different mindset, a different attitude. It's a lot of, I guess you could say, tightness around the building due to how he's been. That's based off coming off a 2-10 season. Norvell knows the stakes. He knows how important this season is. He knows how big it is. So he's taking it very seriously. So I'm okay with not having a spring game. I get it from the fan perspective, but from the football perspective and just what's needed for the program, let's lock in and knock these 15 practices out and go into the summer and at these workouts and get ready for Bama.
Yep.
Lumbering Colossus says, George, dude, shut up, man. Let your guest add something instead of talking over them. Well, you are obviously not a fan of the show because if I've talked too much for you on this episode, you've never seen a single fucking episode. I've been like staying out of the way, trying to keep everybody else. I don't know what you're watching, but my bad, guys. If I interrupted you too much.
Comment real quick. My guy Lockboy said he go link for the Bama game. Big Smoke, Lockboy. You already know the vibes.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be a huge. I'm telling you, this tailgate here, man, it's gonna probably be the biggest home tailgate we've had at Florida State thus far. That me and James kind of collaborates on. It's going to be kind of similar to the Orlando tailgate. And if you guys were in Orlando, like that shit was it was crazy, to say the least. So I do think it's going to be a real big one. And I guess the plus about it too is we're going to be at home and we're going to pretty much run everything. It's going to be just our show, so that's going to be a lot better. So definitely hang out for the Bama game. It's going to be a hell of a weekend. And also, If you haven't grabbed your ticket, it's going to be your first, the first time really get to see the newly renovated Doak Campbell, and it's going to be a nice ass stadium, man. To say the least, it's going to be nice. And also,
and
one
I
more
want to
thing that
go ahead.
I kind of ride by it every other day. The indoor facility is going up quickly and fast. Fast. Yeah, so if you guys ever roll by like Stadium Drive, kind of going into Doak Campbell Stadium, you can see on the right or the left, depending on what side of the road you are, you can see the stadium, or you can see the practice field from the road. You can't see the practice field anymore, man. It's pretty much this facility now. So that's going to be coming up pretty cool.
That's good. That's good. And I heard they're designing it catered to performance more so than just theatrics. It's basically NFL style. Building
this is
bodies.
Yeah. You guys know all of this shit is like an arms race, right? But once this is officially announced, FSU is going to be in the forefront as far as the arms race. Now, of course, this shit is every 5 to 10 years. It's a new one.
Somebody's doing something.
Yeah, but within the next few years, FSU is going to be one of the ones that's going to be talked about as far as a model for other colleges, in my opinion.
And they got that shit done in the nick of time.
Played a part in the Cowboys, the Rams facility, and I want to say Central Michigan facility. He played a part in all 3 of those, and Central Michigan shit is top of the line for a G5 school.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to say about the Bama game, guys, Alabama fans are really, really nice. I know you don't believe it, but they are. I went to the game where was Nick Saban was the coach, right, in Jacksonville. And they could not have been nicer. I mean, Alabama fans and surprisingly Georgia fans are really nice. The worst are Tennessee fans.
But that was before them winning now, Jen. So they may have changed a little bit.
True.
Maybe. I live in the area. I live in the area. They're arrogant assholes now. That all of that has changed.
What, the Georgia fans? They're not nice anymore. Oh, okay.
Bama. Yeah, they're different.
Well, maybe, but anytime other than the Florida State game, anytime I go, it's usually been when they play Tennessee, and I'm always in the Alabama or Georgia gear, so I get cheered on for that, even though the Tennessee people with me hate it.
I will say, had a couple Bama fans like on Twitter kind of mention and talk about pulling up to the tailgate and hanging out and having a good time. So we'll see how that plays out.
We've all got a few. None of them are as bad as Miami, but yeah, Chris was asking if we talked about Chase and Brown. Yeah, we definitely talked about him. I think all of us pretty much have him penciled in and be a shock if he didn't commit, but definitely a big pickup. For me, the spring game, like I agree with everything everybody said. Like as a football guy, totally get it. You don't want to give anything up. All the construction going on, but as a fan, it's the tailgate part of it. Like that is my favorite one of all year because it's not crazy, but the people that do come, like it's diehard Knowles, and it's Mike Alford or whoever's going to go out there and come hang out with you and everything else. It's like the trust there is to another level, and it's really family oriented. So that's something we don't get that.
The school though has that, right? Like you guys were there last year. Jen, you spoke from like after they're kicking with us, hanging out. Chopping up at the tailgate. Like, what other university does it like FSU when it comes that we have all type of people that come up to the tailgate? Random people who knows, whoever you want to talk about, or whoever is in the knows, you won't be surprised who pulls up to the tailgate.
Yeah, that's the one thing that's going to suck this year. I met Deshawn there last year.
Yeah.
Fun stuff, but it'll be all right, guys. We're not going to cry about it too long. No. Anything else we want to get into, man, before you get out of here?
What about Cromartie Jr.?
Oh, shit. Yeah, I knew I was forgetting to mention
that. Yeah.
You got to mention Crow Jr. committing.
Yeah, Crow Jr. committed. And it's crazy because on Friday, me and Crow was hanging out, had a few drinks, just kicking it and chopping it up. Because the official visit part on Friday ended at like 7:00. So we ended up watching the Texas and Ohio State game out at Zingali's and hung out a little bit. You guys know I love Zingali's. I talk about it all the time on Twitter. But yeah, so it was a real surreal moment for Crow. And just speaking about Junior himself, Crow told me a couple of years ago that he's a late bloomer. He's going to have a growth spurt, this, that, and the third, projected to be around 6'2", 6'3". At that point in time, it was probably a sophomore year, and he was damn near at Mike Norvell's chest. And you guys know Mike isn't really a tall guy, right? So you fast forward to a year. I saw him at the 2023 2022 Clemson FSU game, where we had that comeback with Jordan Travis. I'm like, okay, kid's got a little bit taller. He was damn near my height. So you fast forward to now, he's legit like a 6'1" type of kid. Like he's almost neck and neck with Crow, which is crazy. And of course, I told you, like this kid is probably got a little bit more left to grow. He's only 17 now still. So he probably could be around the 6'2" range and add more weight to his body and have a bigger frame. But talent was always there. It was more so just a size issue and being a late bloomer. I think that's been erased now. Had a hell of a year this past year for Carrollton. Over 80 tackles, an interception, like 4 pass breakups. Those guys were state champ runners up, went to the state championship game. I think the kid can be pretty damn good. We're not expecting him to play right away because we're not needing him to play right away due to how good the secondary is now. But within a few years, it'll be interesting to see what can be what as far as him, because I don't think this kid is far from being a finished product at all.
Yeah, it's crazy. Shout out another new age media kind of independent podcast out there. Dim Media Group over there, James Coleman's channel. He had Cromartie on a couple weeks ago when he first got the offer. I think it was maybe Christmas or the day after Christmas or something like that. And yeah, Crow had kind of hinted towards probably not early enrollee, but maybe after June, something like that. If you get down here and be in the fold, and sure enough, you get a commitment. So really cool. So shout out to Crow if you get that. Make sure you check out his Crow. Well, maybe we'll be able to get him on here one day.
Nah, Crow was pretty dope. You could definitely line up, but I don't think he's an early enrollee. But I do think he had enough credits because Junior's pretty damn smart. I think he had enough credits to graduate early. So I think this second semester, pretty much, he's just going to be working out with Crow and getting bigger and stronger. So you got a whole damn 6 months, and Crow's a hell of a deep defensive back coach, knows his stuff inside and out, and is a workout fanatic. So you have a whole 6 months or so to work out with your father. And then come to FSU. That's not a bad turnout as far as these next 6 months and how it kind of plays out leading to FSU.
He called that growth spurt too, like straight up. I think he's still listed at 5'11", and he's 6'1". Like over the summer, he gained 2 more inches. It's crazy. Go ahead, Deshawn.
Yeah, I was saying Crow mentioned in the space yesterday that he's done. He's done with school. He's pretty much going to focus. He's pretty much graduated already. And then he threw out a weight. He could get up to about 205. We discussed it a little bit, not only in the spaces, but then the chop yesterday. We talked about, because Steve knows a little bit about him and is up in that area, seeing him play. He's kind of guy that you could see him playing the hybrid kind of nickel role. That box safety, he can definitely fit around there like a hybrid kind of linebacker safety role. Playing around the line of scrimmage, he's that kind of guy. Come down and smack shit kind of player.
Physical too. He's a physical team.
Yeah, come down and smack. Yeah, he's a hitter. So hey, you're gonna need that at that position. You think about that nickel coming in the box. He'd definitely be a kid that you can see blitzing off the edge, things like that. You can use him in that kind of variety.
Man, the quiet confidence of Pat Surtain in that room, and them not like going any portal guys, not pushing for extra 25 guys. Like, what's y'all's thoughts on how good that room can? We signed 7 or 8 DBs last year. Like most of them all blue chips. Like it's what we could get. We got it. Like something tells me these DBs are going to be able to hit some people in the mouth when they don't have offensive linemen running straight at them.
Yeah, and this is probably my last take before I get up out of here. In regards to that. Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. They feel very confident defensive back room, a lot of young talent, a lot of guys they feel like can be stars for FSU. Just got to show it, right? So this spring practice will pretty much be, me personally, I thought it was going to take probably one safety, but they ended up electing not to do that. There was some smoke around Conrad Husky probably in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Elected not to. Maybe it's a change of scenery. Maybe a new defense coordinator, new staff, not really dealing with Adam Fuller. We could bring out the potential of Conrad Husky. Because I do think, even though he had a terrible year last year, I do think the talent is still there. But just speaking about the defensive back room as a whole, I think Pat and the staff wants to go into spring practice, see what they have with the younger guys, see if that raw talent, can kind of be, developed. We brought it out and we can see, and bring it out rather, we can see the potential right in front of us versus just, hey, if talent is raw, is going to be there. No, it's time to produce now. So we'll see how the spring practice goes. If the staff isn't really too keen in regards to the development of that room, maybe you will see a guy kind of tap in, or see us kind of tap in for a guy or two within the transfer portal. But based off what I've been hearing with the defensive back room, they're pretty excited with these guys.
One thing, so let me dig into that. It'd be your last comment before you get out here, because Conrad Hussey was somebody I was telling everybody to buy stock. He was going to be the best safety we had in all this time. This past year happened. I was ready to just be like, man, worst take ever. I misread the kid, yada, yada. But then you hear after the season, okay, maybe he was playing through some injuries, playing because he had to, because of situations. So where are you at? Can I go back to 2023 going into 2024 height of Conrad Hussey, or should I temper my expectations? Because I want to jump back in. Like when he's engaged, I saw somebody who loved the game and just was that old school fly to the ball. Something happened there last year, whether it was an injury or not having faith in the scheme or whatever. But just your thoughts on that before you get out of here.
Yeah, something definitely happened, and I do want to say you want to flush those old tapes. You have a new slate, a new staff. You can kind of start fresh within this 2025 year and go from there. But I will pause on that 2023 hype that we all had. Let it play out and let's see it first. And see if he can develop in this new defense, and see if he can flourish within this new scheme. Another guy to kind of watch out for, who I think is going to be damn good for FSU, and got better and better as the season went on, and kind of got comfortable in his position. And we thought, I know fans kind of jumped the gun and felt like he was going to be, he's one for sure. But we kind of jumped the gun in regards to he's going to be a starter this and starter that, coming from Bama, all of that type of deal. But Earl Little is going to be a kid to watch out for. Play really good ball down the stretch. Like you said, Edwin Joseph. You talking about a dog?
Yeah.
Edwin Joseph is a fucking dog, man. And it's not just a dog as far as to play on the field. He has a mentality in regards to, I want to get better. Fuck all the outside noise. Fuck all the bullshit. I'm here to play football. And if you're not trying to be an FSU Seminole and take us back to where we were supposed to be at, you can get the fuck out of here. Like, that kid has that mentality. He has – it's like a LaMarcus Jordan type of mentality, right?
Leadership. He seems to take the leadership of the room. I think that's who's taking one of the defensive side, a leader on the team.
He was a vocal guy as a redshirt freshman this past year. So that kind of goes back to our discussion. Like we talked about last year recruiting defensive back class, and the year before that, it's a lot of talent that Pat has brought in, and we're going to see these guys play within these 2025 season. And going into spring practice, and those guys pretty much taking over, going from being the young guys to being the guys. So we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, FSU paused because they're very high on the talent within the room. You just got to see them. We just got to come out.
Yeah, it was crazy. Edwin,
we got about 5 guys, I believe, rotational for the safety position. But go ahead, Joey.
And I apologize. I must have a lag or something. I see what the asshole was talking about earlier. But my StreamYard has been jacked up for some reason today. But no, it was nuts seeing him just walking to practice one day when all his teammates were on Instagram and stuff, talking about free the youngins and stuff. He just came out and was like, just took control and was like, leave all that dumb shit. Like CJ said, let's play. Between him and Q Jones and, a guy who's just been a hard worker like Ashlyn Barker, who's going to be good at one of those safety positions. You got Kirkland Brown coming back. There's plenty to work with. It's going to be a lot of fun. And
get up out of here real quick, guys. But can you guys highlight comments real quick?
Yeah, what you got?
Yeah.
Highlight KP comment real quick. His last comment. You see what you're gonna tell generational life and call this 10 with 10-win season. Damn right, baby. Book them tickets to Charlotte. Going back to Charlotte, baby. 10 wins, all of that.
You heard it.
I'm literally going to get into line form for sure though, after the spring practice, man. But we beat Bama. Y'all see.
The live's coming out for sure. I think everybody gonna start lying there.
Grab them tickets to Charlotte. Make sure you got cancellation on them too. Now don't be paying for shit in advance like most. Free cancellation 2 days before. Always remember that. Free cancellation 2 days before. I appreciate you guys for having me, man.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Anytime,
guys. All right.
Take care.
Make sure you read the fine print when you're booking those tickets to Charlotte. But you heard it here first. DJ has come off the top rope with it. Thanks to the goading of our friend Tiny Hat CEO. And he says, book your hotel rooms. Especially now, not even having the spring game. FSU fans are going to be so hungry to see what this shit looks like. Alabama fans, every Alabama fan I know that here in the Pensacola area their kids are trying to get them the tickets for their birthday or Christmas. Like it's not often. Like people don't think about it. It's a pretty good ways just to Alabama Stadium even versus Tallahassee for people that live in the Panhandle or in that area. So it's gonna be
Oh, it's
wild.
going to
It's
be
gonna be
huge.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's
I'm trying to
huge.
think of a comparison because
Oklahoma, when Oklahoma came
that's what I
Yeah,
in.
go back
that.
to. Because when
Oh
we were good,
man.
we didn't have a bunch of good home games in 23. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Jen. I'm sorry I'm over talking on that.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like that Oklahoma game. Remember when Clint Trickett? Sorry, you
Mhm.
know, one of my favorites. He threw that touchdown pass, and
So
I'm
it gave us
sorry, I
hope for a
love that
minute.
moment.
Gave us hope for a
Um,
minute, man.
yeah.
That's the loudest Doak's been since then. I'll never like the cameras were shaking and stuff. I wish I could have been there. But yeah, Kenny Shaw
Look,
hit was
Deshaun,
crazy.
you can
There's
you
so much.
can shake your head, but sometimes the ladies need the eye candy on the sideline. Y'all get all the eye candy with all these women all the time. Leave me alone. Let me have my eye candy. Okay,
All right,
that's
I'm gonna
all I'm
let you
saying.
have it, Jay.
Yeah, let me have it.
But if I could add, it was something I was gonna say. There was concerns about the safety room, but when you think about it, with no one hitting it, and I don't think it's anything that's evident going into the spring until after we know, you got 5 rotational guys there at the minimum. With Kirkland, Hussey, Little being added back there, then Shaheem and Barker, and then I think they're gonna probably cross train someone because you got other options, and then you look at the corners. One of me and Jen's favorite people, Ricky Knight, was really a lot of good reports of him on the what was it, the scout team. You still got Track Star who missed the whole season due to injury, and he took a red shirt. So and then Kai Bates also along with Charles Lester. I mean, the room it's abundant. That's the one room other than running back, and we can discuss that if y'all want to. That I have no concern about.
Yeah, I don't either. I
Mm,
really don't. And running back to me too is the
yeah,
same way.
yeah,
I even thought the kid, that went to South Carolina was more of like a gravy than it
yeah,
was.
yeah.
Um, but obviously I could be wrong. I mean,
No, you're
I'm
right.
just a girl, but I'm just saying I thought it was more of a gravy and it was more of an extra. I
Hmm.
don't think it's something that's going to kill you that you miss that kid and he ends up going to South Carolina with their insane coach. So
Yeah.
the other thing I was going to ask is, guys, what about Colorado? What about Dion?
Nah,
Is
he ain't going nowhere. I'm a Cowboys fan too. He's not going. He's not leaving. I think he
if he gets
addressed the
offered and he's
situation.
going, if he gets
Yeah.
offered and he's going, that
Uh,
there's no question. Come on now.
if he goes, then the Cowboy fan in me would be like, I don't know. As far as Colorado, I don't give a damn. It is what
Yeah.
it is with that.
I've been
Uh,
shocked at the level of like he's got invested, getting Juju there, all those things. I've been
Yeah.
shocked because I've been saying all along, there's no way he's only ever coached his kids the 4 years in high school, the 2 years at Jackson State, the 2 years at Colorado, and Travis Hunter's become like an adopted kid. And it was Shador that moved him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It wasn't the older son. It was Shador that got the quarterback in Texas before. It would just now, and the level of buy-in said, okay, maybe he doesn't. But I still think, and I don't know whether you put it at 50-50 or whatever, but if the team that drafts Shador has a
Mhm.
head coach spot open, I mean,
It's a possibility. Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
he said so. He went on ESPN like 2 days ago, and I
Hmm.
thought he kind of been silent. He was kind of saying he was staying for a while, but they
Yeah.
asked him straight up, like, "Would you take it?" And he literally said, "Well, now the only way I would if I could coach my son." It's like, yeah, we all know that
it
motherfucker.
was giving Nick Saban vibes. I will not be the next head coach at
Yeah.
Alabama.
Got you.
All of his statements have been giving me those vibes. I mean, again, Adam Schefter, like, come on. Look, I just think it's going to be funny. I'm going to laugh. He's basically saying, fuck them kids, right? But again, if you get the Dallas, if Jerry Jones picks up the phone and gives him the money and gives him the head coaching job, there's no way you stay at suck ass Colorado. None. Like the amount of delusion that seriously, these Colorado fans, I've been looking at these threads. It's been hilarious today because I apparently don't have anything better to do. But I was just saying, like, I saw a bunch of people in there just going, the amount of delusion in this thread is amazing. They're like, he loves his secretary. That's what they like. I'm going, guys, if he gets the Cowboys job, if they really offer him, now again, Dion has, he could be doing this from just his side because he's literally the only one yapping, right? It's not coming from the Cowboy side. All this talk is coming from his side. So who knows really what it is? But
Mm.
I don't know. I don't believe that if he actually gets it offered, he's going to turn it down. I just don't. And I don't believe that there won't be a way that Jerry Jones might try and work something out.
Nah.
Probably send fucking suck ass Dak to the Titans. Why?
Okay, Jen. Look, you're gonna keep cooking my Cowboys now. I'm gonna have to fight back here.
Look,
I'm
go ahead.
One thing is Jerry is a master of keeping the Cowboys in the conversation, even when they're not in the playoffs or we're not in. We haven't been to a Super Bowl in so many years. This is just another thing, in my opinion. It's just trying to keep the Cowboys.
So you don't really think he's being offered it?
No, I think the interview will be honest if he does, but I don't think that's the reality. I honestly don't think it's a reality.
Well, we didn't think that Renegade guy was going to be the
Because
reality
you got to
either.
look at where Dallas is placed in the draft. Dallas would have to give up a lot of shit to move up, and that's not going to happen. You talking about some assets that would pretty much cripple the team, basically saying rebuild it. You're gonna have to rebuild the whole team.
I get that, but it would just be so like the Titans to just be like, hey, just give us Dak and we'll give you our number one spot because that's how bad of a team
I
and
could see that
management
scenario.
that they are. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I can totally see it, and I would love it for the Titans fans around me because I hate them too. And the only thing surprising that the Titans didn't do was draft Manti Te'o that year. I was really begging and pleading for that. I really wanted to make fun of Titans fans even more, and they really disappointed me. So now I'm wishing Dak Prescott on you. That's what I'm hoping.
Look here, Jen. You done got all these folks going in his comments going in on my Cowboys. Now, y'all, they kill me. Tiny Hat is ruthless, man.
It's a tough spot to be a Dallas Cowboys fan.
The fact that a Florida State fan is the fan of the University of Coral Gables in the NFL is crazy work. But hey, I get it. I know Cowboys fans too. I do. I do.
Y'all rough.
There's some similarities there, but you can't put them down that. Like, it's still America's team and all that. They still have a foundation there. They may have a similarity in how long and when they won their titles, but I'll be the middleman there. I think here's the problem with the Cowboys. It's the same problem with being a Yankees fan or a Lakers fan. Even though Deshawn, I'm sure, is in good heart, he's a diehard. He's been with it through all the Emmitt Smith years. That's part of it from the FSU side. They had the Gator at running back. But no, when you're one of those big teams like that everybody knows, people in Japan who've never even heard of what football is, to say Dallas Cowboy. Yeah. You're gonna get the hate. You're gonna get it. I get that. I'm not a big fan of him. I thought Tony Romo kind of got a bad rap. Kind of like Manny did at Miami, to where it sucks that they couldn't keep him healthy, and all of a sudden, then now you have a perfect O-line. Like, dude, couldn't keep him with a clavicle for more than 2 weeks. It's weird. I know as a Cowboy fan, you wish you could have saw his prime behind the line that Dak had. Y'all might have really had something there. But, Jerry Jones, he's a legend. He's just old.
Yeah, he's turned into Al Davis, who ironically was his mentor. And it's the truth. That's his mentor. And the Cowboys have become the Raiders under Al Davis. Whole lot of splash shit and just no substance. And, I'm one of those realistic Cowboy fans, not the ones that's delusional. I just think as long as Jerry is the owner, this is what you're just going to get.
I still think y'all are close with Romo, man. If Romo could have just stayed healthy for another year or two, I feel like y'all had a real shot there. But you mentioned the Raiders. That's another team that's been floated out there. I don't follow it too close, but is that dead, or is that maybe a more likely option for Deion? I think we're all in agreement that if he gets the offer, Deion will probably be going. I think the question is just, does he get it?
I have to see where they're picking in the draft. I know they're picking a lot higher than the Cowboys are. So, I mean, it's a possibility. You know, it's Deion getting his name. You know, keep your name out
Yeah,
there. It's a great recruiting tactic, a great publicity tactic. I mean, I'm not mad at it. I mean, it's just part of the business today. To be honest with you, where we're at now, our coach needs to be focused with FSU, focused on getting the shit on the field corrected. But I wouldn't mind him getting out there being more visible in spotlight and commercials and stuff like that. That shit helps. Bobby did it. It helped
absolutely.
generated revenue. It also generated interest because you see him on a commercial, all the area kids, everybody knows the face. You know, he went on TV shows, and that's where you later in the 90s you
Bowden's,
see him mentioned in movies and everything.
yeah, Bowden's commercial where he called. Now, do I sound like someone who shops at Miss Kitty's Emporium? Like, y'all remember that when he's on his fishing boat? That was great. It was epic. Yeah,
He did some
I
stuff with
look.
Bill Dance, didn't he, back in the day? A commercial with Bill Dance.
I remember
Maybe
when the Golden Flake one of the commercials. Because living in Georgia, we even saw him up here. We saw certain
he
commercials.
did the Simple Orange, right?
Uh-huh. It was an
And
orange
Capital
juice commercial,
One,
Capital One. I think was it Discover? Did he do a Discover?
maybe. But
Okay.
I think the Capital One was the Miss Prissy's Kitty Emporium, and that was just so funny. I'll never forget it. Yeah, I do. I think that a lot of the news about Dion is coming from Dion's camp itself, right? So it
Mhm.
is a great recruiting tool. But I feel like the Cowboys though, that Jerry Jones is just insane enough to do it.
Mhm.
And this could be the move for him. I don't believe the Raiders really are serious. I think that is Dion's camp. I 100% do. But I mean,
Mhm.
wonders never cease, right? I mean, Nick Saban was never going to be the next head coach at Alabama until he was. And he
Yeah.
also was never going to retire until he did. And he also was never going to be an ESPN analyst until he was. There you
Yeah.
go.
You're true. Well, the Raiders picked 6, so they got three other franchises in front of them that need quarterbacks. So unless someone makes a drastic move, or they do,
The
I don't. Yeah.
Titans.
Yeah.
You
I
The
feel
leave
like
that
Titans.
up to their asses. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, they're going to screw up their picks so easily. And if any team is going to do it, it's going to be the Titans, guys.
Yeah.
Y'all just wait. Y'all just
Go
I
ahead,
wait.
Jordan.
mean,
They're going to take Cam Ward if they don't trade it. And I just think that is a terrible fit. That's a terrible fit.
yeah, I think Ward and Travis come off the board before Shador. We'll see. Maybe
Yeah.
Shador goes ahead of Travis, but I mean, if you're a 6 and you might could get up to 3 or 4. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens. It wouldn't surprise me to see some team out there, maybe even one we're not talking about it, try to go for it's a copycat league. We've had a lot of guys that all of a sudden have came out and had success in a
Mhm.
non-linear way, whether it's a player like Deion going with limited experience or
Mhm.
there's other names, guys who've had first year success. And for Deion, to me, the biggest thing on his end and why I think he'll hop on any NFL team that drafts his son is because obviously, I mean, who wouldn't? He's Deion. He doesn't really need anything, but it would just be a chance. It'd
Mhm.
be on the pantheon of, oh, we had success in high school. We did this in college, and now I coached in the NFL. He'd want to be able to brag about that the rest of his life. But also, you spoke about the marketing, and he's so genius at it. Well, he
Mhm.
knows damn well it's going to be hard to get more hype than right now. You just had the Heisman
Mhm.
winner. The only thing you can do is come back and win,
Yeah.
but you're risking, I'm going to try to rebuild what I built up over 4 years. Am I going to
Yeah.
risk a 2 and 10 year like Mike just had, and all of a sudden now I got to
Mhm.
try and look for a job, or do I jump now? So, I don't know. I had a lot of heavy opinions on Dion, but I could go either way on this one. I couldn't really blame
Yeah, I mean,
anybody else either
you've
way.
got to strike when you're a coach, you've got to strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah.
And if you let that sit, you become Matt Campbell at Iowa State because he was the hottest name
Mhm.
in the coaching
Row the
country. And
boat.
now, oh, yeah. And yeah, PJ Fleck. right?
Yeah.
Nobody, I mean, Minnesota would pay people to take PJ Fleck right now. And it's just, it is what it is. And so you want to strike while that iron's hot. And, Matt Campbell now is, he's been waiting for that Notre Dame job to open up or Ohio State. And now they're not going to, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
Didn't he just interview for an NFL team recently?
Yeah, that's what he's up to now. I mean, before he's been waiting it out. He was the hottest name ever.
He comes around every
for
4 years. Every 4 years,
Yep.
he's the hot name. It's crazy
Yeah.
that he is a crazy example because he's had 6 different chances to kind of ride that wave, and he just like, I'll stay. Shut up. The dog's telling me it's time to end the show. Is there anything we haven't talked about, guys?
No, I
That
think
y'all
we
wanna get
touched
to?
on everything. Anything else you got, Jen?
I don't think so. I was just
Touched on
laughing at,
everything.
hey, if y'all want to go read Adam Schefter's tweet about Deion and talking to the Cowboys. The thread is amazing. I'm just letting y'all know that right now. It was so fun. I think I spent like 2 hours in here. I'm not gonna lie.
Tiny Hat's tripping. He says to take another sip real quick, Jen. I don't know what he's talking about.
Why? What's going on?
I don't know.
Tiny Hat is on another one, man. He's wild in this chat.
Out there taking shots at us for lying to him all season. He's out here taking shots at Spear Addicts on the damn timeline.
He
Chris
can't
thought
take
he had
shots
a
at me. I
problem.
remember we're even because I said Alex Atkins sucked and he didn't believe me. So no, we're even.
No, Tiny Hat, he gives it to everybody. He gave it to Clay in person. I got to hear about it before every show. He doesn't get on me every show we're on, but I hear about it in the whatever the production meeting, if you will, every single time about the lies I told him. But yeah. I'm tired of saying Nick Saban said the same thing, guys. But I think we're past it. I think Channel is on a pretty good run of like predicting what coaches are going to get hired and what they need to do, who the portal guys are. I think we're redeemed from now. So you guys can be critical of the high school recruiting as we get into it. We'll get more into it. Friday, there's going to be 1,000 people on campus. So I'm going to have my notebook full of names again, and we can start talking about who the next big guys are. And yeah, hopefully February 1st is coming around the corner. We'll see something there develop. Meetings and things happening behind closed doors. I've said all along it'll probably be after the college football playoff because ESPN doesn't want anything on anything but that right now.
Yeah.
But as soon as that shit ends, either they're going to just come out and say, oh, we kicked the can down the road, or we're going to have some fun shit to talk about. If they didn't, and all of a sudden Florida State knows, boom, 2028, that's the year, all of a sudden you can start talking and making
Start
deals for the new
building.
conference.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Start preparing.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie about this quarterback until I see him play the first game. I'm just letting y'all know that right now. I'm not doing it. It ain't gonna happen.
We talking Castellanos?
Talking Castellanos.
Hey, I'm ready to lie for him. I'm ready to tell the truth for him. All he has to do is revert back to, and CJ talked about it. The best coaches fit their scheme to the quarterback. Bill O'Brien had him in the worst possible position. He still threw 18 touchdowns and 5 picks, whatever the case may be. He got pulled. Back here.
I will say
he had
this.
28 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 1,100 yards running, another 2,000 passing. Like, I don't need him to be, it feels like the same thing we said about DJU. So maybe I'm cutting my legs out up front or underneath me. But, like, if he just makes, like, the first time he runs for 100 yards for us, we're going to be like, fucking, hey, this is amazing.
Yeah.
After what we just came off of, like, think back to 2019. I started to make this about the portal guys earlier, how just freshmen, Robert Scott, whoever we could throw out there on offensive line was better because we just had the worst one, like, ever. We had guys that were listed 700. That's what this year feels like to me. So it's like he's going to make some off-schedule plays, but every once in a while there's just going to be a hole opened up. My biggest worry with him is health, just because of how he plays the game. And when you're FSU, there's a different spotlight on you than Boston College. It's like people are going to be trying to take your head off. Go ahead, Jen. I know you got something.
No, I was just going to say, like, for Castellanos, in his defense, for these Boston College fans to be whining and saying he quit on his team, for them to be so butthurt that this scrub player has left their program to go to another school kind of does make me feel great about him. I'm not going to lie. They keep saying how awful he is, but yet They are so in my mentions all the time. I did not know Boston College fans existed, guys. I'm going to be honest. I've never seen one in the wild. I've never even seen them really on Twitter until Castellanos came to Florida State. And so now everything I post, we have these, Boston College fans. Your quarterback's a quitter and he sucks. He's a scrub. You took Boston College backup. And it's like, yet here you are, and you're butthurt about this backup being taken. How about just celebrate it and move on? Clearly, these are very psycho ex-girlfriend stage 5 clingers, and that does make me feel pretty good about it. That's what I would say.
Tiny Hat, you got to stop, man. Joy Taylor is taking crazy strays in the chat again. Let that girl get back to her life.
No,
Lord have
take
mercy.
those strays. Take those strays. The arrows, the bullets, all the things. Y'all see her damn video where she was talking about, well, Jeff Saturday, who in the world is going to trust any of these things? And she's sitting there going in on Jeff Saturday while she was doing the same thing. I can't.
Guys,
Nope,
if you haven't
not
seen
doing
the
it.
Renegade Roast, it's Monday at 8:30 Eastern. There's the Joy Taylor episode. It doesn't matter what's going on. That one's good. That one will play for years to come. Go back and watch that. And then they also have one last night with the latest stuff. We're not going to get into the Carson Beck thing. They covered that.
No.
Go watch that. Lane Kiffin. They roasted the SEC, all that stuff. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. My dogs are going crazy. I think they got to go to the bathroom or something. But make sure you follow Jen on X at Jen Santy 1890. Again, that's at Jen Santy 1890. I think she's pushing for like 6,000 or 7,000 follows. Make sure you go follow her. Deshawn's at Deshawn Adams 18 on X, and also has the Daily Chop. Let them know when y'all's next episode is and what y'all got going on there.
Y'all can tap in with us at, I believe, 8:05 on Thursday, 8:05 p.m. Tune in for more of the same thing, a little bit of FSU, definitely a lot of crash outs and top fives. We're going to talk our top 5 boxing, top 5 UFC, and a little bit more. Just go in on these coaches, and as we normally do, we got one eye looking at the strength and conditioning, and one eye looking back. We just look out. We got something coming up, and then interviews with our YNs, interviews with our YCs is coming. More and more on deck.
And Tiny Hat, like, I knew I messed up, okay? It's cold, so I had a welding shirt over this shirt, taking care of business today. I took it off.
It's got me dying, man.
Should I put on a Florida State shirt or should I change? I was like, no, it's just a regular old collared shirt. It'll be fine. It's garnet. But apparently I look like a Jesus Christ and Latter-day Saints guy here. I'm Greek Orthodox, so we do have a communion. We take communion. So yeah, I know all about that shit. I was never an altar boy or in the Goya youth or anything like that, but yeah.
I got called the devil. Leave it alone.
I believe
it's all right.
I believe it's G Street, downtown Pensacola. If you want to meet there one Sunday, I'll show you. You can light a candle and come in and get some of the communion. My family would probably be happy to see me there, but yeah. Anything else before we get out of here? As we just, do all these U-turns. Are we good to go?
We good, man. It's just funny.
All right, I got to end this just so Tiny Hat can get off.